Hello students, and welcome to this quick video on how to log into your classes, how to submit assignments, and basically just the very surface need to know information to get started in your classes. Now you'll see that the screen that this started on is on the Minos website, or the Minnesota Online High School website. And if you were to Google this or go to the home page of the Minos website instead, you could always use the top navigation and click Login in order to access the login area websites that are available to you. So you'll notice there's a student login area which has all the websites that students may use throughout their time going to school with Minos. You have an email account, a student desktop, the Blackboard Your Courses, for schedule and official grades, that would be Infinite Campus, and then tech support in case you need help because technology is not working. Now when you get started and when you work, whether you're supplemental, meaning you take about 1 to 2 classes, maybe even 3, or if you're full-time taking in between 4 and 5 classes, you're going to use the same 2 links every day, which would include your email account or the Minos email that was especially made for you, and that link is the very first one. And then you're also going to use the Your Courses Blackboard link. So every school day you should be accessing your email and you should be accessing your courses. If you're a supplemental student and you're taking 1 class, the time may vary. However, if you are full-time, you should be accessing your classes 4 to 5 days out of the week. And that's just about an average amount of time that students would spend on these classes. So now if I click into the Your Courses Blackboard, and if I click that link, it'll bring me to the tab that I already have open. And my account is going to look a little bit different than students' accounts, simply because I have the teacher login versus the student login. Now, if you log in as a student, you'll only have the classes showing that you are currently scheduled for this quarter. So you will have less links than I do in that case. Now, when you look at your My Courses, let's say we want to dive into a class and start looking around and getting started on assignments. And for this video, I'm going to use physical science as the example, since this video is going to be tailored to my physical science students. If I click on that link, it's going to bring me into my physical science class. Now, you'll notice that the physical science class goes immediately to the announcements page. Now, the announcements page is the home page for all of your classes, and any time that your teacher needs to convey any important information, whether it's a due date or a link that might not be working or a document that you might need to use or that would be helpful, those are going to pop up at the top of your announcements page, and usually they'll pop up above your welcome sign. Now, you'll notice at the left side there's a navigation bar, and that's going to be what we use in order to navigate through the class, whether it's going to the syllabi or going into the pace chart or going into and completing assignments or even checking your grade. And again, I have a couple more links in mind than students would have in theirs, simply because I have the teacher access. So let's say I want to contact my teacher. I can click on this Contact Your Teacher link, and that'll bring you to information that has my personal email as well as my phone number to call and the number that you can text. It also tells you my office hours as well as gives you my Collaborate link in case you want to meet with me during any of these office hours. So when I have office hours, I am sitting online in Collaborate and basically waiting for students to want to pop in. So if you feel you need help or you simply would like to sit in Collaborate or have that window open on your computer while you're working, by all means feel free to do that. I don't require students to use their mic or to have to talk to me while they're in there. A lot of times students will simply log in and leave it open in case a question does arise. So it's entirely up to you and what you're comfortable with. I never make students use that or use their microphone if they do log in. And then there's also a little note about the meetings that I do have during the school year. Now let's say I have a question about the syllabus or course resources. I can click on those and those will directly link me to that. Another one I really need to talk about is the PACE chart. So the PACE chart is an important Minos document for all students, regardless of if you are a supplemental student or you're full-time. And the reason being is because it's telling you exactly when weekly folders open and when you should approximately have those weekly folder assignments due or done. Now, we're going to talk about quarter 2 instead of any of the other quarters simply because we're starting quarter 2. However, if you're watching this video and it's quarter 3 or 4, all you have to do is simply scroll down to that quarter table. So this would be quarter 3, and if I scroll down again, that's quarter 4. But we're going to talk about quarter 2 this time. So you'll notice it says Minos Pace Chart quarter 2. And you'll notice it's a table with start and end dates as well as what folder you should be completing. Now, every quarter has what we call workshop days, and those workshop days are devoted to students checking out their Ramp Up Advisory class if they're taking one, or working on workshops which are located in student activities. And we do have a little table within the workshops that tell you exactly what workshops can specifically be done to help you with points in another class. So physical science and physics use graphing greatness, and students do get points for that. So if students want to get ahead, they can use those 2 workshop days and complete graphing greatness just to get that done. And that in turn will save them a lot of time for week 3 if in physics, or week 2 if in physical science. Now, since we're in quarter 2, physical science has a specific flow to it. So all students will work on part 1, weeks 1 through 8, if we're in quarter 1 or quarter 3. So odd part of the course for the odd quarters. And then if we're in quarter 2 or quarter 4, we work on part 2, which is weeks 9 through 16. So since we're in quarter 2, we're working on weeks 9 through 16. You'll notice that the open date for that was Monday, November 12th. And that's when the Getting Started folder in week 9 were available to students who were already expected or scheduled or enrolled in those classes. Now, if you're added late, there are things we can do. I do require students meet with me if they're added late to get those accommodations. So if you're worried or you want to meet with me, just let me know and I can help you get started and get caught up rather quickly. Now, you'll notice that with week 9, we have the start date, and then we also have an approximated end date. So we have Sunday, November 18th is when students should aim to get the Getting Started folder done if needed, and then the week 9 folder. And that's because the week 10 folder is going to open on November 19th. And then it gives you the due date for that, which is a little extended due to the Thanksgiving break, and so on and so forth. So make sure you keep this document somewhere on your desktop. If you want to print it out, print it out. There are plenty of places that you can put this and save it to. It also will give you the add drop deadline if you want to change your schedule without having a grade affect your GPA. And then again, it also gives you the very end date for the quarter itself. So this is a very important document. Make sure you save it and keep it available. And of course, I have it linked in the navigation if you were to miss it, along with your online textbook. Of course, the things that we use the most I try to include because I like shortcuts or I like saving time, so I like doing that for my students as well. Now, the 2 links we're going to talk the most about are the Getting Started folder, which is right here where my pointer is, and then the part 2, weeks 9 through 16. Again, since we're in quarter 2, that's going to be what we see. If we're in quarters 1 or 3, we'll see part 1 instead. So let's look at the Getting Started folder first. And all students, if you're new or you haven't completed this folder yet, should be completing this folder because it does give us, it has points attached to it and has important documents that I need students to fill out. So when you get into the Getting Started folder, you'll notice that there is a first folder, or Technology and Class Preparation, and then there's a second folder, which is Let's Socialize. Both of these folders have assignments within them, and they're separated based on the importance of what I need from students. So Technology and Class Preparation should be what students complete first, and this has 3 assignments within it. One is an optional extra credit assignment that goes over a little more in-depth information on online school and how to do the class and things like that. And then there are 2 assignments that are mandatory for all students, which is the Physical Science Lab Safety and Materials. And this will have 2 documents that I need students to sign, as well as a guardian or family member if you're under the age of 18. And then students can either take a picture of that and email it to me, or they can snail mail through the USPS. It's up to you on how you want to get that material to me. And then last one in this folder is the class agreement and acknowledgement, where it'll ask you questions such as, I understand that using my Minos email is mandatory. So make sure that you complete those assignments. I think together those would maybe take you 10 or 15 minutes to complete. Now the second one has more student-driven, opinion-based kind of questions and journals and discussions. So you'll notice that the Getting Started journal and the Getting Started discussion are going to be focused on hobbies that you complete or have. It'll focus on if you have a job, things like that. So those go by rather quickly. Those 3 assignments go by pretty quick. I would say 10 to 15 minutes total for all 3 of them as well. So this wouldn't take very much time. Again, it's to get you adjusted to the class, getting you clicking around and checking things out. And then the nice part about the Getting Started folder is once it's done, it's done. You don't have to do it again. So make sure you check into that, and if you have questions about it, you can always email me. Now, if we want to access our assignments, I always get the question, where do I find my assignments? Where do I submit my assignments? And that's going to be what we talk about for the remainder of the time. And that's always going to be in either the Part 1 or the Part 2 link that's in the left-hand menu. So if I click on Part 2, Weeks 9 through 16 as of now, you'll notice that it says, read this first, important information. And then it has, as of now, the Week 9 folder, because again, we just started Quarter 2, so the only folder that's going to be open until November 19th will be Week 9. Now, all assignments within this weekly folder are going to be available. Nothing's going to change. We're not going to add or take away assignments unless there's a significant technology issue. So the nice part about it is we have weekly folders with a certain amount of work to be done in a week of time. So all of the assignments that you will have to do for this actual week are going to be in this folder. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, whenever in doubt, hover over something to discover. So if you hover over the title, you'll see there's a pointer, and that means it's probably a link that we can click into. And it'll bring me into the Week 9 folder. You'll notice there is a reminder about the Getting Started folder. And then we have a Week 9 overview. And I want to talk about this a little briefly just because it is a helpful tool for some students, especially if you like more written out things or organized things. The weekly objectives are going to be in the Week 9 overview. We're going to have the reading assignment in the Week 9 overview. And the Week 9 overview, or any overview for that matter, is going to have a list of assignments for that week that you can check off or cross off as you go, so you don't have to worry about missing something. So here's an example of Week 9. You have the objectives first, the readings, and then the assignments. So here's your list of assignments, and as you complete them, you can mark them off. So it's a nice way to keep organized if you're adjusting or still new. A lot of times students, if they've been with Minos a long time, they don't necessarily always use the overview, but it's a good thing to start with simply because it helps you to organize what you should be doing for that weekly folder. So now, if we scroll down, you'll notice the grade policy, which was one of the assignments. And then you'll notice there's start here 1, 2, and 3. These are all links. So anytime you see a piece of paper with an earth or a globe on it, that's going to be a web link that'll bring you somewhere else outside of the class. And it should open within a new tab. So I'll exit out of that just to kind of show you what would pop up. And these are going to be visual videos to help you, along with your reading assignment, to learn the material before you start diving in. So whenever you're doing any class within Minos, especially in relation to science, you're going to want to learn this material before you do the assignments. And that's because a lot of times students will open assignments and not take time to read or learn about it first or refresh their memory if it's review. And then they forget or they get it wrong, and then they struggle as they move through the assignments and into later weeks. So make sure that you are doing something to learn about material before you complete the assignments. So that's why these are always listed first to help you get started. And then you'll notice towards the bottom, especially in my class in physical science, all of your assignments are going to be towards the bottom of the week. Now, there are different types of assignments, and that's going to be the trick here when it comes to knowing what to click on. However, most of them work about the same, so that's really nice. Journals, assignments, which is the icon that looks like a compass with a pencil. And a lot of times these are basic Word documents that you'll open, and that's the difference in reality with that. And then you have discussions, blogs, and then what we can use as a test or a quiz, which looks like this icon here. Now with journals and assignments, as well as quizzes or tests that have this icon, those are going to be between the teacher and the student. So if you submit an assignment using the journal here, or this assignment form, or you use this quiz, that's going to be between me and you. Now if you use a discussion or a blog, which have different icons on the left side, and usually they'll say discussion or blog within them, that is something that other students within the class can see as well. So that's going to be the big difference between those types of assignments that you will see. Now, again, hover to discover if you're ever in doubt, and also read the little information sentences that are below, because those will tell you exactly what to click on. So for this, it says click on the link above to access your journal instructions. So again, hover to discover. We have this little pointer that forms, so the link above would be this title link, and I can click on that and it will open. Now I opened it in a new tab simply so I can keep this open, because I wanted to talk about this direction here first. So it says click on the file attached above to access your game instructions. So the file attached above, anytime you have a smaller font that's blue like this, that is going to be a file that's attached. And it tells you exactly what type of file it is. And that's going to open and download for you to access. So we're going to talk about these two here for a second. So now the week 9 journal was my second assignment as far as my overview goes. And if I click on that, it comes up with a voice thread as well as my follow-up questions. And you want to make sure that anytime you see a blue link like that, or if you hover over it and you have a pointer, that you open that, because chances are it's something that you're going to use. So here's my follow-up questions to my voice thread. And I already submitted a fake assignment, kind of walking through this on a previous time. However, I'm going to do this again. So if we don't have a submission text box, the two types of assignments that you will see that will have a create button are going to be journals and blogs. So a journal here, we're going to have to create a journal entry in order to access something to submit our assignments. Now sometimes students like to copy and paste questions and then answer them within their journal submission. So I can get into this location here. I can come up with a title. It doesn't have to be fancy. So I just put week 9, and then I can paste my questions into this little type area where I can enter my message or my answers. So sometimes students like to do that. However, I do recommend as much as you can to use Word. This way you can save your work as you go, whereas sometimes Blackboard will log you out, and if it does and you click on post entry and you've been working even though you're logged out, it's not going to save your work. So you have to make sure that you remember that when you're working. You can't leave this open for an extended amount of time and then go back to working without relogging in or trying to copy something. So that is why I say use Word as much as you can and save it to your computer, and then that way you have the backup in case something, if you don't submit it right or whatever it may be. So every single assignment type that you have, with the exception of discussions, is going to have this nice boxed in area right here. And that's where you can click browse my computer, and it'll open into information that you can access based on where in your computer it might be. So for here, I'm in a physics folder and I have access to all my files within that physics folder. And if I wanted to upload my work, so let's say I did the assignment and I'm uploading my work, I can click on where my assignment was that I saved it and the title that I saved it as. Click on that and hit open. And then if it attaches properly, it's going to load at the bottom, and it tells you right here that that's what you click to attach. Now if that's going to be what I want to submit, I can, and that's all I have, and I'm ready to submit it, the blue button is always what you go for. So always remember, blue button will submit your work. So this one says post entry, or is a blue button, and I can click on that to post my entry. And then I should be able to see it pop up like this to know that it's submitted. And it also is time stamped, please know that. So that would be one assignment that I could mark off as having done if I went through and did this appropriately. So I could go back to my overview and mark it off. And then I would work my way to the next one. And you can always exit out of it. Now, again, with these are a little bit different than the journal, but you'll always click the title to go into the assignment form to submit your assignment. And in this case, I can either write a submission, put in something in the comments. If you hit write submission, it'll pop up with the same typing area that we had in the journal. Or you can browse your computer and attach files like we did before. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do. So let's say I'm going to upload another folder here or file. And then as soon as I open it and attach it, it'll pop up here. And again, I can hit my submit button, my blue button, and that'll submit my work for me. So the nice part about the Blackboard program itself is all of your assignments are within Blackboard, and all of your assignments will be submitted in Blackboard. Now, if you find something's not working, remember to email me. However, everything's going to be located here. It's never going to be in a different location. The only thing that might pop up into a different tab is a video or a lab simulation we might use. But again, if you have a Word document or assignment you're working on, that's always going to be submitted in Blackboard. So that's the nice piece with that. And then again, as I move through, I can mark these off. And then let's say I get all of these assignments done in week 9. And let's say I have them done by Thursday, November 15th. If I have these done by November 15th, I don't have to worry about physical science until the next folder opens. So that would be November 19th. I can work on other classes. If I get all of my classes done, I don't have to worry about them until the next weekly folder opens. Now remember, most of your classes you can revise your work for up to full credit back, so I do recommend that you check your grades and check your feedback so you can fix any misconceptions or things that are incorrect. And in order to do that, what we would do is go to our left-hand menu again and hit My Progress. And if I hit My Progress, it's going to bring me to my grades. Everything will load, it'll be organized, and I do recommend that you have all selected. And then the class order over here selected. And that's going to have all the assignments for both parts of physical science in this case. So it goes weeks 1 through week 16 all the way down. Now you'll notice as soon as we get to week 9, I have my week 9 assignments and then also week 10. Even though those are not available, they'll still show in your grade because we have all selected. If you see a little icon like this, little blue time clock, that's going to be something that's in progress. So that means I went into the week 9 quiz, but I didn't finish it and submit it. So if you see something like this on your My Progress, I have not gotten it. You have to submit it in order for me to grade it. If you do submit something, it's going to show up as a yellow circle, about the same size as this blue time clock that we were looking at. It's a yellow circle and it'll have a white exclamation point in it. And that means it's submitted and it's waiting for grading. And then as soon as you get a grade, it's going to pop up with a number next to your score. And if I leave feedback, which if you lose points, I will leave feedback so you know what you can revise and what you should do to revise it. It'll be in a little comment blurb, and you can actually click on the comment blurb that's next to it and it'll pop up with my feedback. And then if you're ever wondering exactly where you're sitting in my class for the week, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll notice that that's where your percentages are. And in this case, we're looking at weeks 9 through 16. And remember, for your percentage, we always look for 60% or higher, and that means you're on track to pass. If you're under 60%, that means you're a little bit behind or your work might need some more attention and you might need to revise things for points back. Now, if November 19th rolls around and we want to work on week 10, we'll go back into part 2 here, and week 10 will pop up below week 9. So all of our work will always be in the part 2, weeks 9 through 16 folder, and that's where all of our assignment folders will open as we move through time-wise in this quarter. Now again, if you have any questions on what to do or you're still wondering how to get started, if you want to meet with me to go over anything, if you have questions about attendance, remember you can always reach out to me I know that there are plenty of questions, especially when students are new to online high school. So don't hesitate to email me or text me whenever you need to. And again, under that contact your teacher link, you'll find all of my information. I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope everybody has a good quarter. And again, if you need me, just let me know.